I have a long comedy thing. I performed at the Comedy Store back in the 70s with Robin Williams and the Improvisation and the Laugh Factory. I used to do stand-up comedy in the 70s, way, way, way back. Mitzi owned the Comedy Store, and every Monday you got a free drink, and Doris Day and this old-time actor from the Christian Science Churches used to team up with Robin Williams and do stand-up comedy there. And we did stand-up comedy there in the 70s, and then he was the first to get a break on he did One Happy Days, and then he had let me speak, he's interviewing me, and then he had a spin-off called Mork and Mindy. He started his career took off after that, but 30 years later he forgot who and what I was, but that's okay. I did warm-up comedy too for Gary Marshall and for Norman Lear. I did before the shows began. Oh, I'm doing. I'm touring with a band, the David Liebe Hart band. Previously I did the Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job. I did comedy with him. I wrote songs and did comedy with the Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job. And then I did comedy with Zach Salvanakis and John C. Reilly. Check it out with Dr. Steve Brule and Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job.
The David Liebe Hart band?
Well,
David is the great, talented songwriter. He writes a lot of great words, and a couple you even wrote the music for, right?
Right, I wrote the words and music to All My Friends Like Asian Girls.
What's that song about?
It was about when I was in the Navy, everybody liked Asian women. And then I wrote a lot of church songs with the words and music, Ring Out a Happy One.
I met David because we both have public access shows. I host the Del Talk Show, and he hosts the Junior Christian Science Bible Lesson Program. And through the wonderful, colorful world of Los Angeles cable access, we were able to come together and form, I would say it's a pretty strong bond we have, based on television.
He brought his parents to his kids. When he was a kid, he was a teenager kid, and he was a young guy. He got younger, he was just a kid. I don't look my age, but I was born in the 50s. His parents brought him when he was a teenager to host my shows.
About how old would you say it was when I met you?
Well, I'd say about 17 or 18.
I was about 15. How old do you think I am now?
15, you're about 21.
I'm 23, but that's pretty close. That's pretty close.
But anyway, we've had a work-on relationship. He also worked with me with Tim and Eric.
That's true.
Tim and Eric show. He did work on the Tim and Eric show with me.
Even though David's a lot older, and he's been around since I was even thought of, we still share a lot of common experiences, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
We have a lot of similar tastes, like old TV shows.
Yeah, I like
together.
I like the old TV shows from the 50s and the 60s.
Me too. You know what our favorite show is? Let's say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. That girl.
Merle Thomas. I even wrote a song dedicated to her, and then I wrote a song dedicated to Betty White. I got to work with her on Golden Girls.
Was she hot back then?
Well, she was, and she did. I remember Betty White did a song called "Life with Elizabeth" when I was growing up in the 50s, when TV was done in black and white. There were a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of good music.
A variety of song topics?
Well, and then we do a variety of music.
A variety of music as well.
I want to do, I want to have a variety. I love punk rock. Adam taught me to like punk rock, but I want to have something for the old folks as well as country, western, and rock and roll music.
That's one thing we don't really see eye to eye on. I like punk rock, and he likes the oldies. I like the oldies too.
He wants it all punk rock if he had his way.
Yeah.
But I want to have it so there's a variety. Well, I want to reach something for everybody.
You got to realize, David,
but the older
punk
people
is much funnier.
But the older people have
the
older people have the money, and they're the ones that bat the ball game.
But the older people never come to our shows. It seems to be all the punks that come.
Well, I've seen some older people come to the show. I wrote a new song called New Media.
I thought it was called Better Media.
Better Media. Which first was going to be, it was supposed to be about Chase doesn't want to give me a credit card. But
we can still do a song about that.
Well, I wrote a song about Tina Fey. I think she's very attractive, and she reminds me of my Aunt Ray that died. And she's really funny, and Phil wrote some words that I variated, and we wrote a song. I put it to music. Poem that he wrote about Tina Fey, but I had to clean it up because God made it kind of.
It was definitely all based on your thoughts, though, wouldn't you say?
I had to clean it up because he made it kind of.
Right, but it was based on your love for Tina Fey, is what inspired us all.
I have a I'm a big fan of Tina Fey, and
She's hot.
And I
She's a
would
sexy
love,
nerd.
And I'd love to be on her show with her on 30 Rock. That would be a great honor for me.
The coolest part for me, I like to travel and go to towns I would never get to go to, and just see David in these different environments, because he's been in LA for so long just doing the same thing. So it's nice to see him get recognition from strangers on the road, and we eat a lot of fast food that they don't have in California. Like, we're gonna go to Cookout tomorrow. We've been to Roy Rogers, which was not very good. We've been to White Castle on the last tour. So, I mean, the fast food would probably be my main attraction.
Well, the other thing is we sleep on different people's homes, couches.
Yeah, I like staying with
and
people,
then we
too.
stay with different people's homes. Now, when I was touring professionally with Tim and Eric, I stayed in all kinds of expensive hotels. So it's making me humble to stay at people's homes. I even stayed in a factory at River Falls, Massachusetts, and so it's making me be humble.
We're gonna make an album in January with the band, and you're gonna do a movie.
I already finished doing the Tim and Eric $1 million movie, but I'm at the very end speaking to the
Steven Spielberg.
Let me speak Steven Spielberg lookalike, and then I'm going when I get back in town, I'm supposed to do the John C. Reilly Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule season 2, and then I'm supposed to be doing in January. I'm doing a new Tim and Eric show from Absolutely Production. The new show is going to be called Bulls and Latinos, and Zach Zalbanakis plays a Latino guy, has an Hispanic family. Tim and Eric and me and James Squall all rent from his apartment building in East LA.
Bulls and Latinos, there you have it.
They can reach me on my Facebook. Okay.
We got Facebook, we got Tumblr, we got Twitter, we do it all, right, David?
Right, and if you also can reach me if you want to SAG and AFTRA, since I'm a union member. I'm a member of Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA, and SAG.
Or on your home phone number is a good way too, right?
I don't.
Not
really,
your cell phone, because it runs up the minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be called to do parties and for business and for professional things. I'd like to say before I go, you didn't mention about my puppet career. I had Jim Henson as a Sunday school teacher in Christian Science Church, and I had Bert Stillston that did Close with a Friend and Ollie, and then I had Buffalo Bob, and they would teach us with puppets. And then I had some outstanding acting teachers. Alice Ghostly, who's from the South, who passed on. She gave me free acting lessons. She played on Bewitched. She played on Design Woman. I also had famous entertainers that were Meredith McRae gave me free acting lessons, who played on Petticoat Junction, and she played on My Three Sons. And they told me I was going to make it someday, and they believed in me. And I believe they're looking down on me from heaven. The other thing is, you didn't ask me about the alien situation.
What is the alien situation today?
Okay, let me explain to them. All our technology, our back engineering technology, comes from the military and different people working with aliens. The military calls it back engineering. And I'm related to someone who made something very famous in the South. I'm related to Orville and Wilbur Wright. They were Presbyterian ministers, and they were from South Carolina. And my grandmother Wright told me on her deathbed that they had gotten their back engineering from working with aliens. And all of the military calls back engineering. And there's many races. The ancient astronauts are our relatives. The Irish come from a race called the Omegans. The Swedish and Norwegian come from a race called the Palladians, and then you have the Menusians. Yeah, tons.
He actually explains all of it in this DVD. But David Liebe Hart's UFO Worlds. Now there is a typo in this. He was not abducted in 1963. He was abducted in 1968.
They put the wrong thing on my stuff sometimes. Mm-hmm.
It's always a challenge.
That's 1968. I was abducted when my parents moved to Park Forest, Illinois, at 117 Westwood Boulevard. There was a big field in back of where I lived, and I stayed in a separate cottage. And samples of my skin and my blood were taken from me. I also talk about that same abduction on the Jimmy Kimmel Live that you can see on the internet.
They took that down.
They took it down?
Yeah, because ABC owns the copyright.
When did they take it down?
Like a year ago. I got a violation on my YouTube account for putting it up. So now I can't get a professional YouTube account to upload videos longer than 15 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's all right. It's not your fault. It's those damn fat cats.
Well, let me tell
at
you.
ABC.
Well, let me tell you something else. What happened to me? I wrote all the songs that I performed for the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. I'm an ASCAP songwriter, and I was told last year I cannot use any of the songs I wrote for Tim and Eric because they're now owned by Warner Brothers, and they threatened me if I used them I'd be sued, so I don't use them anymore. That happened the
last
first
time.
last
But we
time.
can move on because you're a creative guy and you can overcome that and you can overcome anything.
Well, I write newer and better songs. than that.
Exactly. Like the Tina Fey song.
Yeah, and Betty White and Better Media. Well, I just want to wish people, if you have a career, be persistent, don't take no for an answer, keep on doing what you do, believe in yourself, don't let nobody discourage you. If you believe in yourself, stay positive, be outgoing, try to do the best you can. If you have a talent, pursue it, get it trained, get it perfected, and go out and do it. Don't let nobody discourage you or put you down.